All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the CHA show. That's right. All right, everybody. Yep, we gotta get used to it, right? We gotta get used to the fact that we have to tap into some techniques so that y'all know what we've got for you, the value and all of that that's available to help you all. Yes, in your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Absolutely. And so I'm bringing this here. Remember, I wanted to make sure I still have something for y'all over here on Facebook. That's right. So as the notification go on out, let's go ahead and do our typical sound check, stuff like that. Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. That's right. Let's get the formalities out of the way as well. The sooner the better, right? I am Michelle Dickey, your host for the CHA show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, and Facebook at Consulting for Heightened Awareness and Michelle Dickey, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. That's right, trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more. Here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. That link is also listed in the video description below for quicker access. There's a course over there for you. Absolutely. And we learned that, there's a lot of things that go into trauma healing. But here's the thing, y'all. You got to want to do it. That's the thing. We have to want to overcome the trauma. And how do we do that? Well, we're breaking trauma bonds. And so when God revealed to me that, guess what? Yeah, that the trauma bond itself is the generational curse. Think about this, right? How narcissistic abuse got passed down from generation to generation to generation. Then when it comes to a chosen one, we're the generational curse breakers. So that's like, okay, hold up a second. I'm like, there's a connection. I see the connection. And it took a little bit because I was like, okay, so the pulling down the strongholds that God tells us about, those are breaking trauma bonds. Because remember how the enemy trauma bonds people to the world first so that they become more easily trauma bonded to one of his flying monkey narcissists, right? That's what happened. Well, God steps in and reverses all that. So part of God's reversal to all of that is breaking the trauma bond to the narcissist. And then, once we start making the connection to narcissistic abuse, the red flag on the societal level, and then we learn that the world is a stage and that a lot of people are just playing their roles, right? Okay, once that sinks in and God revealed our purpose to us and we get to walking in it, that's right, we get to walking in it to please God. That's God's spirit within and in you all. That's what that means. Giving God all the glory. Okay? It's for his glory. And he helps us break those trauma bonds. That's right. And so when you say the trauma bond is the curse break, is the generational curse, then yeah, but we have to break that, right? We're breaking trauma bonds. Okay. And so we're breaking generational curses. So it only makes sense that the trauma bond is the generational curse that we are breaking. Think about it. So it's like we're overcoming unhealthy attachments to people and things, the materialistic stuff of this world and of the physical world. We are overcoming unhealthy attachment when we break trauma bond. But essentially, that's what it is. A trauma bond is just an unhealthy attachment to people and things. And then the trauma bond to the world, same thing. So we realize that we were groomed since birth to tolerate that abuse later in life. And so we gotta let God undo all that. He will undo every bit of that. And so, yes, I've got to watch the clock. For those who don't know, the CHA show is structured just like any other series, seasonal show that take commercial breaks. Except the difference is we try to keep it a minute or less to let y'all know what is available for you. Yes, at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. And as we continue breaking trauma bond, we start to notice more things. See, that's the importance of the spiritual awakening right there. Because as we get that heightened awareness, breaking trauma bonds, right? Stop committing idolatry. Okay? Exactly. We got to get right with God. To get right with God, it's all we can do. Is start with the 10 Commandments. For whoever needs that tip on where to get started, make sure you can put a check mark by every single one of God's 10 Commandments. I teach this often for a reason. It's where I started. I didn't know where to start. God showed me where to start. But now I'm telling y'all to look at those 10 Commandments. And chosen ones, often we find out that we never broke all 10 Commandments anyway. There would be at least a few that we never broke. That's right. So there is a little fun homework assignment for whoever wants that. Okay, I know you cringe at the word homework, but it's fun. Take a look at those 10 Commandments. You know who you are, right? Well, you're finding out who you are in Christ, but you know you, right? It's your life, it's your memory, so you know you. So when you come across, for example, to help y'all put it in perspective, do not covet thy neighbor. Never did, never will. You know what I'm saying? In other words, being envious of it. We've always been happy for them if they leveled up in some way, right? There you go. That's just one of many examples because we know ourselves. And yeah, no, not even that. No, not even as, no. Listen, y'all, coveting thy neighbor is simply being like, well, it's playing one-upmanship, for one, and it's basically envying what they have. And so it's not the same thing as, okay, so we see somebody got a new pair of sneakers, we're like, oh, hey, I like those. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're not coveting it. There's a big difference. So there you go. God's 10 Commandments. That's your tip, your action step. For those who are wondering, how do you get started to get right with God? As we are, that's right, breaking generational curses. Breaking those trauma bonds. And I'll go ahead and share with you again. 1 Timothy 6, verse 7. Yeah, we didn't bring anything into this world. Surely we can't take anything out. I want to tell y'all something. Because those trauma bonds, as long as we're trauma bonded to the world, we're going to remain easily triggered. Yeah. He had to get us dependent on external validation to an extent. Chosen one never really developed a full-on dependency to external validation. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. If you don't break that, and you get up beyond social media, the enemy can easily trick you into getting self-disappointed self-disappointment, self-discouragement. That's right. Remember, if the enemy can't get to you, he's going to send a narcissist. If that don't work, he's going to try to get you to do it to yourself. And this is how he does it. Through that dependency on external validation. Don't get all caught up in the social media hypes. Okay? God's going to level you up when he sees you ready. God don't care. God does not care if your video got 5,000 views and only 10 likes. God's like, I don't care about that. God said, when my child is ready, they're going to get leveled up regardless. See, God doesn't do things the way the world does. No. But see, so many people dependent on all that external validation. Yeah, I question the number discrepancies. Yes, I do. I question them because a lot of things don't make sense based on stats and revelations and what's on my spirit. So there's those moments that I'll have, which is fine. We can do that. We should be questioning everything, huh? Absolutely. So we learned, though, that, no matter what, nothing can stop God, right? Okay, then. You got to trust and believe. Just keep on going. We know there's a lot of people out here dependent on that external validation, so they're going to automatically, with that demon of assumption, assume that we are dependent on that too. I am not dependent on likes and views. No. I had to unlearn a lot of that social media hype stuff myself. That's why I'm telling y'all. Because that will easily, if you are still dependent on external validation, yeah, that can trick you into stop doing what God has called you to do. Don't be doing that. If you up here and you got stuff together, and you got content to put out there, whatever it is God called you to do, you better keep doing it. Breaking those trauma bonds. Because I would tell you that, the trauma bond won't keep you dependent on external validation, all things external. It's the Godhead's on the inside. Only validation we need. That's right. And so when he tells us it's time for us to do something, we do it. Regardless. God is the only validation that we need, and he's on the inside. Remind yourself of that. That's how you're going to overcome moments where it'll sting because, it's going to happen. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. It's all part of the process. That when you first get started, right, and you have yet to lose all expectation except what you know you can expect from God. God is the only one we can trust in this world, That's right. And so, let's say you spent hours designing this nice little post, right, with this inspirational message. And let's use Instagram for this example, right? And you've been told by a lot of people on social media, right, all that hype, that if you post, something and you use trending hashtags and stuff like that, that's going to get you, like hundreds and maybe thousands of views overnight because you use that hashtag and you wake up the next morning and what do you see? 5 views. What's that going to do? Oh, yeah. That's going to make your heart sink, isn't it? That's why you got to break that dependency on external validation and stop believing the lie. Because a lot of people jump on that trending train. God's not about that. God's about trauma healing. Break those trauma bonds. Another way that helps us break those trauma bonds is to know how that trauma bond is formed. That's right. Because once we know how it's formed, we learn to not let the love bombs and all of the abuse. Yeah, we learn not to let it manipulate our brain chemistry anymore. Time for a short break. Stay tuned to learn more about, generational curse, trauma bond, and more when we come back. Are you still getting trauma bonded to narcissists? Do you want to learn how the trauma bond is formed? The course, How the Trauma Bond is Formed at CHA Academy is for you. We hear about how the trauma bond is like a drug addiction, but what does that mean? With a background in forensic toxicology, I answered that question in How the Trauma Bond is Formed at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. Once you know the trauma bonding process is simply a manipulation of the brain chemistry to keep people emotionally dysregulated, you will never allow another love bomb to manipulate your dopamine again, and in turn never get trauma bonded to another narcissist. The link to the course is also listed in the video description. I look forward to seeing you at CHA Academy, where iron sharpens iron, with fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. Sending love and light always. All right. Welcome back. Yes, okay, there you go. All right, and then we want to remember what's very, very important, because breaking trauma bond, it's all about that mental and spiritual intentional activities. Remember, it's a spiritual battle for the mind. And so we have to be extremely vigilant and aware out here as to what we're up against. And I know you all. So as a reminder, I know a lot of people are going to catch these on the replay. And so I know the enemy likes to try and trick people into thinking that there's no good content at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, but they are sadly mistaken. The YouTube channel, over 1,500 videos and counting. Come on now. We don't sit around. When God tells us to get up the ante, we're going to up the ante. Because breaking those trauma bonds is very, very important in the spiritual awakening. Because if we don't do that, you're going to remain easily triggered by trauma triggers. And so part of breaking the trauma bond, is breaking that dependency on external validation. We're huge on that at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, because if you're still dependent on validation from others and things instead of the validation from God on the inside, well, you're not going to do so well walking in your purpose. Because I will share with y'all that earlier today during our Let's Just Chat stream on the YouTube channel, I had to block a handful of snakes trying to love bomb. And then I had a couple of them. Well, one of them actually. Because one came in and was trying to flatter after another one did. And then that first one that did came back and basically told him, like, to move out of the way, bro. Because he saw me first. Oh, that got them blocked real quick. But we ain't about that up in here. We are all about trauma healing and spiritual growth for those who are serious about it. Because once we get to that place in life, in God's reality, the spiritual awakening, and we can obtain and maintain that emotional regulation, you're not going to be able to do that if you're still trauma bonded. So that's why the trauma bond is the generational curse. We're breaking generational curses because we're breaking trauma bond. It only makes sense. That's right. So when God revealed to me that the trauma bond itself is the generational curse, because yeah, it got passed down in our biological families, others out there in the world continue, right? They all got trauma bonded to the world, right? And then trauma bonded to each other. Remember, narcs do not get trauma bonded to to a chosen one. No, but they do get trauma bonded to each other. Yep, absolutely. And so we learn that we've got to break those unhealthy attachments to people and things. Because never forget, I put out a short fun fact quite some time ago, and it's public on the YouTube channel. There's 17 of them, CHA's fun facts. Those were introduction to the fun fact videos you'll find inside the Academy. Because we are way past number 17 now, but those are in the community forum at CHA Academy. And what we come to realize is that the trauma bond leads to people living in fear. What do we know about fear? Exactly. The enemy needs to keep people living in fear so that they are easier to abuse. That fear is the foundation for abuse and traumatization. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the and more part. All right? Since we've established that we now know the trauma bond is the generational curse that we're breaking. And many of us have already broken it. And we continue, that's right, we continue to gain more heightened awareness. Not just about not just about the narcissism and the abuse, but about ourselves too. Never forget that. Because the more aware we become, the more alert, not in fear, but the more alert we are to how the enemy tries to trick us into thinking things are worse than they really are. That's right. Because I learned that because the enemy could not throw me off balance spiritually, again, not do that. When we are connected to mind, body, and spirit, that's right, our subconscious is awake, and we are remaining emotionally regulated no matter what goes on out there. And that irritates the enemy and his flying monkey narcissist to no end. We know this. Again, that's too bad because God is in full control. And so because we're not catering or doing any more people pleasing, they're the bad guy. Because we stand out. Chosen ones are supposed to stand out. And when we are in obedience to God, we can't be men pleasers. If we're going to be God's pleasers, right? That's a double mind. We can't do that. It's God. Pleasing God and God only. In God's reality. And so here's the thing I want to point out for you all. Is that we knock it off when we realize how easy it is, because so many people are dependent on external things, and they are out here trying to be popular, right? So they're jumping on what's trending, and they get easily tricked into deceiving others to join in on the gossiping that goes on the world stage. I want y'all to understand something. If you come across, listen, for those of us who do editing and we know about Project Bluebeam and how easy it is to, to make things appear as right. And so never forget, okay, that the enemy loves to use the Bible as a movie script on the world stage. So he's going to hire artists, singers, actors, what have you, to play roles that feed into the gossip train. Okay? Yes. They're going to put on this stuff as part of the narrative, right? You got to use your discernment. Because then this artist appears on TV and even admits that they're possessed. Oh, right? Again, the artist comes on the TV and admits that they're possessed. That's part of the show, y'all. That's part of the script. And so now everybody talking about it, right? That's gossip. Everybody talking about this famous artist, right? Well, there is no such thing as being famous. I'm just going to tell y'all that. Right, but this artist, well-known artist, right? And so a bunch of people in the community are now engaging in what is also known as celebrity gossip. See, we don't do that. We knock it off. God says we don't. Yeah, but that is none of our business. Because we understand that the enemy loves to deceive people and get them to doing the deceiving. But when I came across that on Instagram, I was like, oh my goodness, just how easy it is to trick others who claim to be believers, right? To trick them into engaging in the gossip by commenting down there. What are y'all's thoughts about insert artist theory here? Because that popular and trending right now. No, God don't care about that. So watch out for those things. Don't get tricked into engaging in that. Oh, it's tempting because, it looks so real, doesn't it? Oh, yeah, they claim demonic possession, and then the cameraman can have a clip, yeah, right, an edited clip of some kind or something, Project Bluebeam thing going on, and just at the right time, you're like, boom, yeah. And so now it even looked like, the demon revealed itself. Really? Do you even know that's true? So we don't even entertain that, y'all. I'm just bringing it here as an example to let y'all know, because they're being paid to trick people and to get people to engage in gossip. When we're supposed to be out here helping one another, lifting one another up. Okay? That's right. And other things, because we cannot continue to believe the lies of the fallen world. Where's the truth at, right? Truth is in Jesus. It's in the Holy Bible. Right? God's wisdom is true. So when we see all this stuff on the world stage, all dressed up like that, that's how we learn that the enemy is using the Bible as a movie script. And it tricks a lot of people into engaging in gossip. And so if you're ready to accept that we've been lied to since birth about a lot of things, well then CHA Patreon channel is for you. It's time for another short break. Stay tuned to learn more about narcissism and all the stuff associated with it on the world stage when we come back. CHA's Patreon membership channel is another place to support this ministry and work for as little as $5 a month.
When you become a member, you will unlock access to a lot of content that will further help you purge that subconscious mind of worldly garbage to make more room for God's wisdom. We have been lied to since birth about a lot of things. On CHA's Patreon membership channel, we make real-world connection to the spiritual realm and more. The link to CHA's Patreon channel is listed in the video description below and on the My Social page of CHA's website at CDHRWDRMD.org. Thank you for becoming a loyal member of CHA's Patreon channel. Sending love and light always.
All right. Welcome back. And so if anybody comes in the middle of one of our short ads and then they leave, well, this is not the place for them, because we are going to advertise. It's that simple. So we learned that we have to stop falling for the stuff on the world stage and learn to see it for what it is, right? Just a big show, the Matrix. And I know the enemy's got some people out there spreading this narrative about frequencies and things like that. And so let me bring this here. I talked about it earlier today in the Let's Just Chat, but don't fall for the narrative that all those concerts and things like that are energy harvesting. No, They're just, listen, they're going to do these events out there, concerts and what have you, are going to do one of two things. It's either going to energize you, right, the upbeat stuff, or it's going to hypnotize you, if you are easily hypnotized. So usually that would be the narcissists and others that God has not awakened yet. Because remember, chosen ones, we also were under a partial cognitive dissonance hypnosis there until God awakened us. Okay? We had a partial one because we didn't know anything else yet. We didn't know about the spiritual battle for the mind just yet. Right? Okay. So we got to keep in mind that all of what we're going through in the spiritual awakening is all part of the process. And so we have to learn to just, see it for what it is and use that discernment, and don't allow ourselves to get tricked into talking about, because that's gossiping, right? They want to know our thoughts on a particular artist. I don't care. I don't care. God says, I want you to stay focused on what I have you working on. All that's just distraction. Remember, the enemy loves to distract, right? So we learn that we're not going to waste God's time engaging in gossip about somebody who allegedly admitted this or that. And the reason they do that is because, listen, yes, we know demonic possession is real, but it doesn't look the way that they are depicting it to look. I want y'all to let that sink in. On the world stage, they want you to think that demonic possession looks like beady red eyes. They want you to think that it looks like what you see in scary movies. No. Demonic possession looks like a grown adult coming up at you with a sob story wearing puppy dog eyes. That's what demonic possession looks like. Demonic possession looks like one of the human hosts giving you the evil eye. Demonic possession looks like somebody giving you that death stare. Demonic possession looks like the look of hate. Yep, demonic possession looks like a face full of doom and gloom. Yeah, long, miserable faces. That's what demonic possession looks like. And we see it every day on the narcissist. They're just sitting there with a doom and gloom look. Demonic possession does not look like fangs and come on, y'all. That's costume stuff. Trying to play head games. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Demonic possession doesn't look like a red-faced dragon with black horn. No. Demonic possession also does not look like the oh gosh, how can I put it? It doesn't look like anything that would be associated with, y'all know, October 31st. Okay. It's not going to look like anything like that. Because once we realize that demonic possession looks like in the eye there's no life. They're just there. Spiritually dead. Righteous spiritual, that is. Okay? And so we learned that what the world stage is trying to show us demonic possession look like, it does not look anything like that. That's all just for entertainment, distraction, and deception. Yeah, never forget that, you all. That's what the enemy is all about. And so that kind of stuff right there is why the true, now I don't know if some of them are or aren't, it doesn't matter. We know what we see on the ground, right? We know that we have seen what's real with demonic possession. Because many of us have seen the Jezebels, right? We've identified many of them. Yeah. And we know what they'll try to do. So once we identify a Jezebel, we know, steer clear. Because if they are aging, yeah, they're going to try to move faster. And so we leave them where they're at. That's right. We leave them where they're at. Because that Jezebel does not want to let go of the human host. I'm going to tell you that. It does not. And like you will learn when you become a member of our Patreon channel, I share a real world story about how some other Jezebel come around, a Jezebel that's passing away, to literally pick up all their demon spirits. Because it's got to go somewhere. Because the demon spirit don't exist without a human host. So they come around and they don't even know that's what they're doing. They don't even know that they are a Jezebel. They don't even know that they're demonically possessed. They don't have a clue. And the reason they don't know that they are demonically possessed is because of the stuff that is shown on the world stage. The enemy's trying to convince people that real demonic possession looks like a Halloween party, when in fact it does not. That's how he can keep them asleep, because they look in the mirror and they don't see, right? They don't see none of what's been depicted as demonic possession on them. So they go, oh, okay. So they think they're all right. False. They've been tricked. They don't even know. And so we learn to go, okay, walk away. We don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, right? There you go. Because we're not supposed to. God tells us that for a reason. Because their influence can rub off on us. Oh, yeah. Whether we like it or not, their influence can rub off on us. Because social influence is very strong. The enemy knows this. And so to help y'all put that in perspective, the reason, I mean, I know it's on me, all right? I hold myself accountable. But when I started deviating a bit too far off of my blood type diet, well, because I knowed it right, because it was a Jezebel who just basically gave up and gave in and just started eating totally not the way that she used to or should have been. And so it was a little influential, especially when I went on a business trip and got myself a meal and I did not have any dietary upset. That tricked me into thinking, oh, hey, okay, so I can get away with that. Just not in that environment. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Oh, no. It didn't take long after getting in here and noticing some things, God revealing some stuff. It's like, hold up a second. Oh, I see. Okay. Because the enemy wanted to trick me into thinking that certain things that I'm becoming more aware of now, right, wants me to keep thinking that they are related to an incident that you will also learn about on the Patreon channel with the Jezebel case study. But no, it doesn't have anything to do with that at all. It now has to do with me and the poor dietary decision that I was making for a little while. And so now God's reversing all of that. Okay? So we learn, because that social influence, I'm not passing blame on to the Jezebel, no, because it is my action, right? It's just that social influence. You know, you see it, and so you're like, okay, yeah, it don't work that way. Not when you've been on a particular diet for 4.5 years and your body's like, hey, all right, because it works. All right, everybody. So for anyone who is interested in learning more about how Consulting for Heightened Awareness, this ministry and the work came to fruition, yeah, well, that's where you can do so in my book, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, Someone's Survival Guide. And my book link is also in the video description below to the website for quicker access. Absolutely. All right, everyone, it is time for our final short break. Stay tuned to learn more about narcissism, trauma bond, and other things associated with all of that when we come back.
Are you interested in learning how this ministry and work at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, CHA, came into fruition? The best way to learn how CHA came about is in my book, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, Someone's Survival Guide, available in PDF, audio, and paperback at CDHRWDRMD.org. You can also find my book across multiple ebook platforms and at Amazon. The audiobook is only available on my website at CDHRWDRMD.org. You will not only learn about red flags of narcissism, you will also take a walk with me on my journey into God's reality, where we begin to develop the spiritual discernment we need to fight this spiritual battle for the mind. CHA is a growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, sending love and light always.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, there you go. Yes, that is it right there. That you will learn. It's not going to re-traumatize you. No. Okay, that book is just to let y'all know where we're coming from, how this all came to be for us, and to serve. That's right, to serve and help God and Jesus help y'all heal from the trauma associated with narcissistic abuse, and then understand more about why we start to see more narcissism all around us, right? Yeah, we go through that season. All of us do. And then we're like, okay, yeah, it's a natural part of the process. And then we realize that they don't want to change. They don't think they need to. That's the thing, y'all. Because of, right, the social influence, right? So they see others engaging in the same behaviors they are. So for them, they're like, oh, they've got that mentality of, oh, well, if they're behaving that way, then it must be acceptable or it must be okay. Oh, well, it is by the narcissistic matrix. Absolutely. That matrix wants the grown adult behaving like toddlers in adult bodies. Yeah, that's what the matrix wants, to keep them entertained. So they don't even know that they are worshiping the devil. They've been tricked into thinking that they're worshiping God. I had one even ask me, said, she's like, I can't believe that my God, well, first of all, that what? He's everybody's God. And so, like, I can't believe my God would have me go out suffering like this. And I remember looking at her and saying, that's not God doing that. That's the enemy. And I was met with complete silence. Because, yeah, that's true. That it's the enemy that causes all that suffering and pain. Because the enemy feeds on it. And so do these abusers. They love to see people in pain and suffering because it makes them feel better for some short amount of time, right? Because they need to see. This is why I know some people popping in, right? I know some people are popping in here and there, right? In the CHA show, just to kind of see. Yeah, just to kind of see how we're doing. If we're in pain and suffering like they expect us to be. Nah. Nope. We good. Yeah, we're doing just fine, y'all. We've got some things that we're working on with some extra self-care and things like that, but it's all very minor, and we are doing just fine. So thank you. And I want to ask, how are you all doing? All right, let's drop those in the comments below if you don't mind. When you catch this on the replay, you can drop it in the comments below. Let us know how you're doing. Okay, I'm gonna check in with you all too every once in a while, because this is a spiritual battle for the mind, and it is something else. I tell you, the more that we learn and the more that we uncover how all this is playing out on the world stage, and how all of this is just part of the script. You know, like whenever they blast or they smear, remember the smear campaign? That happens on the societal level all the time, right? So certain social media platforms are having issues or whatever, and then a smear campaign gets put out. How many times, y'all, have you seen Google involved in the smear campaign? In other words, against them, right? How many times have you seen and heard that Facebook got a smear campaign going against it, right? Oh, come on now. That's all part of the show. All part of the show, because negative publicity is still good publicity. Negative reviews are still good reviews. Because there's those of us who, if we do, I typically don't read reviews. If I come across a product or service that I'm interested in, I'm not concerned with, we do see reviews, sure. Because when I come across a negative one, I go, I'm going to go check that out for myself. Because we learned something about energy, right? The kind of energy that we put out, what we're going to receive. We reap what we sow. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you all. If there's a negative review about a particular restaurant that I've never been to, I'm like, let me go check that out for myself. I don't have the same experience they did. So it's very important. Okay. So yeah, it's like I don't go seeking out to read reviews, but we do eventually because sometimes they're just there, right? So speaking of, I want to say thank you to all who have left for Heightened Awareness. A Google review link is in the video description below. Highly appreciate you. And a thank you in advance to all who will. As Consulting for Heightened Awareness, this ministry and work continues to help you heal from the trauma and get closer to God. That's that spiritual growth. Get closer to the God on the inside of you. All right, yes. And so, of course, reviews do help to establish trust, right? Well, right, exactly. Now, we don't go around seeking negativity. That's easy enough to find without looking for it. Think about it. That is easy enough to go looking for it. And so, speaking of reviews as trust building, on the website, link is in the video description below. I highly encourage y'all from the navigation drop-down menu, you scroll. Thank you for your patience as we are doing some reorganizing, fine-tuning, and tweaking, okay? But you will scroll down and you will see book reviews, right? You'll see my books and reviews at some point. But right now, as of November of 2023, you'll still see Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse book reviews. I highly encourage y'all to hop on over there and take a look at those. Okay, so that you can get a better idea why that book has been highly recommended to be on library shelf everywhere possible. Because it is just filled with red flags that we need to remember. And then it also, like I said in the short clip, it's also a walk with me on my journey into God's reality. So there you go. All right, everybody. And just know this. God in full control. Okay. He is not going to let his chosen one fall. When he awakens us to all of that, and he sees that we are in our purpose, what he has called us to do, he is going to make sure we keep going. He's going to make sure we have everything we need to keep going. He's going to make sure we have all that we need. Yes, to pay bills. Yes, to put food on the table, clothes on our back. Yes, a roof over our head. He's going to make sure that we have everything we need. Trust and believe. It's really that simple. I know it takes a while to get there, but you will. If you haven't gotten there yet, keep going. Because learning to walk and live by faith, it is a part of the process. Because we know that God has always worked things out in our favor. And he always will. It's already done. We just have to walk the walk. All right, spiritual warriors for Christ. That's who we are. We are a growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. All right, so that wraps this one up, everybody, for today. And this is season 1, episode 10 of the CHA show. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for the CHA show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, and Facebook at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, and Michelle Dickey, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more at CHAacademybtbw.com. That link is also in the video description below for quicker access, so you can hop on over there and see what's available to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Until next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.